You know how important water is as a resource, and you've probably heard that future wars will be fought over water. In today's video, I'm going to show you one step deeper. We are going to look at who's behind the water crisis agenda that's going on right before our very eyes. This information affects every single person, so you must pay attention. I will cover all the details. I'm going to show you who you need to focus on and what you as an individual can do. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. I want to show you right now what's happening. If you look at what's been happening recently, I know you've seen it, climate change is everywhere. Now, this is just showing us that the Treasury is warning that climate change could impose substantial financial costs on U.S. household finances. So they're now pushing that. Who else do we see talking about climate change? The Federal Reserve. Who else? The ECB. Who else? Other central banks. You see, this is starting to become a buzzword that they like to use each and every chance that they get. And like I said, I want to make that point that it doesn't matter where you stand on the subject. Understand this: climate change is being used, perhaps hijacked, by those who wish to take more control. You have one subject, and then you can overtake that and use it in order to advance your agenda. Yes, I use that word intentionally. So we have that. You look at this. This is an article about Rivian, but ultimately showing us that the governments are going more and more towards incentivizing electric vehicles, solar panels, green energy, and so on. We get that, right? Okay, absolutely. JP Morgan boss Jamie Dimon says that AI will enable a 3.5-day work week. Sure, absolutely. I just have one issue with that is you're not going to exactly be getting paid for that other day and a half. You see, with AI and with robotics, your effort that you can apply as an individual will be substantially reduced. You see, the AI works 24 hours a day. The robots are turning knobs all day long. And these things, one by one, are getting better than the majority. Look at ChatGPT doing better on the bar exam, all the other medical exams, everything else. And so we know that this has only just begun, and yet here we are. Water is something that generally we take advantage of. We take it for granted. We open up the tap. Hopefully, you don't drink it right out of the tap, but we open up the tap and we have water. It's accessible. But you could be in Flint, Michigan, and my goodness, suddenly we don't take it for granted. Things change rapidly. But there's a level deeper to this. You've probably seen it in the news consistently. Water crisis everywhere, right? Have you heard that? Let me know. Where have you seen that? It seems to be everywhere, in fact. When we look at this, I have found time and time again that there's a lot of information. This happens to be just one. Panama Canal trims vessel passage quota again to deal with severe drought. And so we get these articles that pop up, and of course, it's affecting real people's lives, where you'll have a drought over here, you'll have, a tsunami over here, you got, way too much water over there. Look at New York getting smashed recently. And so there are various problems along, the topic of water. And so a lot of that has to deal with drought in many areas. We've seen that in the West. You've got that in parts of the United States. You've got that going on in so many other places as well. And Europe was terrible this summer. Okay? So we have these things. Keep that in mind. You got me where we are. So we've got climate change. We've got the water crisis, which is like, let's say it's underneath the umbrella of climate change. And now we have a group that is specifically out there suggesting that action needs to be taken on water. Now, let me be upfront, let me be clear that we need access to clean water. We need to have access for as many people. That's the most basic element that we can't do without. We need water. That's essential. So I'm not against anything to do with that. There's just a problem though, because it goes a step deeper. It's just like we don't want toxic waste being dumped. We don't want deforestation. We want the air to be nice. We don't want to look out into the skyline and see, yellow and brown, orange. That's not very good. Nobody likes that. But you go a level deeper and you start to see a few things, all right? The goal is to restrict our ability to travel, our access to goods and services, and increase our dependence on the systems that are in place. You see, many years ago, most people were at least, overwhelmingly self-sufficient. They had a nice garden, they could take care of themselves. Maybe they had a septic tank, so they didn't even need the water system that they were being, fed at some point later. These things are now very different. We have centralized systems that makes it cheap, that gives access to a lot of people. And so, yes, I get it. I understand. But you have to understand who we are talking about. And there's a few names that I want to bring up. Okay, you're going to see one in this case here. Confronting the global water crisis. First name on there is the one I want to focus on. Mariana Mazzucato, right? I'm going to put all these links in the description under the sources used in this video, which is at the bottom of the description, right? Water-related challenges, whether there is too much or too little or too dirty, unsafe, there's already fueling chronic food and health insecurity in entire regions. To safeguard this most fundamental natural resource, we urgently need global strategy to govern water for the common good. And that's where I start to get a little bit touchy, all right? The world's water crisis can no longer be ignored unless we manage water properly. We will neither tackle climate change nor meet most of the sustainable development goals. And that, my friends, is where we need to start paying attention. Sustainable development. We've heard this before. It started with Agenda 21 and then it became Agenda 2030. This is a video that she was a part of, Mariana. And there was, it's a long video, but at the World Economic Forum. So we're getting stuff that you've heard before related to Agenda 2030. Now we're getting her at the World Economic Forum. And what she said here is basically, we need to be part of a collective. We need to be sustainable. We want this to be globally governed. There are all of these terms which we've heard so many times before. She mentioned the issue from 2020, saying, you know what? We didn't get the job done. Not everybody was on the same page. And then essentially said, with climate change, this is very vague and people don't understand it. Oh, but water, everybody understands. So this is what we've got to use in order to make it happen. Now, the goal might be something good. You might say clean water, that's good. Who's going to deny that? But of course, you got to understand the agenda overall, because it can always be a Trojan horse. It can be used in order to advance an agenda. And that's the way these things operate. I've looked at this 1,000 times before. There's a book by Rosa Quarry with a K, and it's called Behind the Green Mask. An interesting take on what's happening with Agenda, at that time, Agenda 21. All right. So here as well as this video here. You can see her on the top of this. This is related to water, this website, the watercommission.org. And these other people, at least the gentleman, I believe the bottom two, they were part of that, World Economic Forum video, if I'm not mistaken. And so she had a few things to say, as well as the previous video, and I just wanted to give you this summary, okay? That's what you're here for. You're here for the truth. You want to thrive and prosper? Check this out. And then at the end, I've got what you can do. Very important stuff. Hit that thumbs up if you want to support this channel, because it is something that you just generally don't get out there. Maybe you're seeing at the bottom of this video a banner warning you. Well, don't worry, because everything here is verified and sourced. What she had to say was that water unites the world. I do agree. And therefore, global governance is required. That's where we stretch it a little bit. Water is connected with climate change, all right? And water deals with inequality. Water's the injustice, and water's all of these things. Every very common term that we've been hearing over the last several years, as they keep using these terms in places like the Federal Reserve, talking about climate change and what they can do. It's not normal. These things are very unusual. All right? Solution, this is what they say. The solution is for all is to fix the access to clean water for everyone globally. Great, right? That's great. Trouble is how these supranational institutions handle it. All right. So here we have an article related. Water-related crises around the world have shown that current systems of governance and economic organization are unsuited for a world altered by global warming. The days of getting by with stopgap measures are gone. The situation demands mission-oriented collective action on all levels. And so they basically just go in and say, look, there's a very big problem. There's an issue. You've got a drought here. You've got problems with water over here for one reason or another. We need to fix this. We need to resolve it. How are these things done? They mentioned some good things, certainly. But I believe that what they will do is not what they say in this, essentially suggesting that they're going to take control of this, take the bull by the horns, and fix the problem. No. They will control you. They will control your smart meter on your home. They're going to say that that is contributing to the water crisis. They're going to say that when you drive your gasoline vehicle, that you are contributing to the water crisis. Why are you causing a drought in the middle of, sub-Saharan Africa when you shouldn't be able to do that? And so what we are going to do is we're going to limit your access to different things. No, you can't drive your car when you want. No, you can't just use paper currency. No, you can't, get on an airplane. You can't do this. You can't, because you are creating a problem. No, not the, 1,500 jets, private jets that go into Davos, Switzerland and tell you this kind of stuff, where the World Economic Forum meets. Oh, they're not a problem. No. But you wanted to go visit your family, taking the car on a long road trip. Your pollution is, uncomfortable. Oh, we don't like that here. That's what's going on. And so this is part of this agenda. There's a lot to it, but I'm just, for the focus of this video, just this one thing. Understand that there's a lot more to it. All right? You could see who else is talking about it. Council on Foreign Relations. Water stress, a global problem that's getting worse. So you'll see this all the time. United Nations, World Health Organization, Council on Foreign Relations, and on and on. Every big institution, they're all talking about it. So I only covered just a fraction of what's out there. So you might ask yourself, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? There's a few things. Number one being you could be as self-sufficient as possible. If you've got a nice big garden, You can actually have rainwater harvesting to water that garden with drip irrigation. And in most places, it is very possible and very inexpensive. It waters itself basically. And there's no worry about that. You could take care of it on its, it basically takes care of it on its own. Um, and of course, that's just the water aspect. On another level, you as the individual, if you have water running through your property, if you have a little stream, if you have a little ravine, maybe it backs onto it, a lot of times water will allow you to get your entire, or I guess in that case, it would be the entire property tax back. Because essentially saying, look, you got to protect that. That's very important and, integral to, the function of the waterway and so on. So as a result of that, because you're protecting it, you will get your tax back. So property tax, you can get that back. Depends on your area. There's a lot of jurisdictions, a lot of rules. Yes, I understand that, but you got to search that for your own area, okay? You'd be surprised. And if you have agriculture, I put that in quotes because if you had literally one chicken in a lot of places, you can get 75% of your property tax back. This is money that you save, or sure, you can put it in and it comes back, whatever. But you can take that money and you can reinvest that into your self-sufficiency. So utilize it. These are facts you don't hear. What other financial channels talking about this? None. None. They don't know what's going on, but they know how to get your clicks. Okay, anyway, go to a place that has largely rejected the UN, the WHO, and why? Like, why is that important? Well, at least it gives you more time. So you can say, maybe in the grand scheme of things, I'm kind of still in it, but at least if I move in this area, that will give me a few years. That'll give me 5 years, maybe 10 years. Who knows? Because there's obviously you can see some places around the world or some cities are much worse than others. Usually the big cities are not very good. And that's just the way it goes. The rural areas can be better for some things, but it depends on your jurisdiction, depends on your country. Some places are really harsh for some stuff and then totally lax on other things. I think it all depends. And so this is what we're talking about today with the water crisis. I found this to be very interesting because it's the subset of climate change that, yeah, we do hear about, but I wanted to bring it up to you because I think this is one they can kind of squeeze through. If you want to get some more details, okay, on my website, I have this thing called Compass, and that is your financial journey starts here. And basically, this is where it begins for a lot of people, and it's totally free. No paywall, no credit card, no email, all right? No ads. You just go in, watch the videos, themoneygps.com. What are you waiting for? Come on. My voice is going to run out before you can get there. All right. And then the comment of the day. This is a section of the videos that everybody loves. And I want to thank you for your comments, okay? So, Greg says this. The problem with using interest rates to control oil prices is that oil is increasingly traded in other than the dollar, currencies other than the dollar. They could withdraw 100% of all liquidity and wouldn't go down because it's still trading in yuan and Saudi is actively dumping dollars. Also, the fact that it means that the Fed controls inflation is that they print the money to pay interest on the deposits with the Fed. And yes, absolutely, we got to understand that we are moving into a multipolar world. Things are changing, whether it's because of what's going on with oil or something else. We just got to understand that the world is changing. We're hearing this new term, global south, that's being used actively. And ultimately, what we're seeing are, this big shift in balance. And to some point, that brings a lot of safety. But when it starts to swing in the other direction, what happens when you corner an animal? It lashes out. And so you could potentially have a war. And that is a big concern. Okay. And it could come from many different reasons. But for you, the individual, I would say take the actions today to protect yourself, to become more self-sufficient. I want to appreciate you for being here. Hit that thumbs up button. That does support this channel. That's all you got to do. You don't have to be the one to give to me financially. There I have so many beautiful people that donate, but all you got to do is hit that thumbs up. Okay? And I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.